everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well during these, again, very crazy times that we live in. Recently I have been thinking about watching other people play video games, and was sort of reminiscing about when I was a child with my friend and staying in his basement and how we used to watch various games, and whether anybody else did that and got enjoyment out of watching somebody else play through a video game. Now I know for some people, like my wife for example, she finds it very strange to sit and watch somebody else do an active activity, whether that be sports or video games. She often says, wouldn't you rather be in the action, right? Wouldn't you rather play football than watch somebody play football? Wouldn't you rather play that video game and experience it for yourself rather than watch somebody else play through it? And I think it comes down to different personalities. So for example, my wife, who's a go-getter and wants to do it herself, yes, I think if you're that kind of person, you would probably want to do it yourself and want to experience that activity, very active activity, yourself. However, there's a large number of people who get just as much of enjoyment out of watching somebody play a game as they would if they did it themselves. That's why we have so many people who watch sports, for example. And in the case of sports, it's often camaraderie with a team, for example, feeling a part of a group. And there's that whole social dynamic around it as well. Same type of thing happens, in at least my experience, with watching somebody else play a video game. I remember as a child going over to my friend's house, the guy that had all kinds of game systems and mainly the PlayStation. And I remember going over there and we made a day of it, right? It was a day of having chips and going to the mall sometimes, and you know, planning and having strategies, and one would have a guide while we're going through it while the other's playing, and we're trying to strategize how to beat a boss. It was a whole event, and it was quite social and interactive. And that's the part that a lot of people may forget. There's a lot of socialness that happens when you watch somebody play a video game. The next aspect is there are games that I would never have been exposed to, in part because I didn't own them or didn't have the system, that I would never have seen or been exposed to if I didn't watch somebody else play them. As a kid, it was going to my friend's house, as I've said before, to watch him play various games. A great example that comes to mind is the entire Final Fantasy series. I have personally never gone through in their entirety to play them. I played bits and pieces over at his place. I own a lot of Final Fantasy games now, but back then I didn't have them. So I watched him play through these various Final Fantasies, and I went along through the journey for as much as I could. And it was fun. I loved it. And the story, and sort of just watching somebody else go through it, it's a different perspective, because when you're playing, you're actively thinking, how do I beat this? How do I do this? How do I, you know, the attack? You're not always paying attention to the detail, to the world, to the environments, the graphics, the beauty. I mean, it's there, but when you're playing, sometimes you're more focused on the gameplay and the action, not necessarily all the other stuff. But when you're a spectator, you can enjoy those things that you might not have been able to enjoy while you were playing. And it's quite nice, because sitting back, relaxing, and just sort of watching somebody else go through it, you get a lot of cool ideas and enjoyment and story. In some cases, things that you missed the first time if you played through it. And I've done that myself, where I've gone through a game and completed it, and watch somebody else play it on YouTube, or my friend or my wife, and go, I don't remember that part. I must have just wasn't in the mode of thinking, wasn't listening, wasn't paying attention as much, because I was too busy thinking of the next objective. So yeah, that's something I was thinking about. Another great games that I've had experience with was, for example, the Crash games. Twisted Metal. right? I didn't have a PlayStation, so I didn't have those games. All of the Spyro games, being able to watch, I did play some of them, yes. You know, bits and pieces of levels, but I got to essentially see all these games that I wouldn't have had before. Alice in Wonderland, I remember that one. Some of the Tony Hawk games, I played some of those as well, certain levels. But getting to watch and getting exposure to some of these very, very great games. Shin Megami Tensei, another great one. Yeah, lots of great, great games that I've been exposed to through watching somebody else play. And that extends up to the very modern and the present day. So in the past, it was just watching my friend play or a friend play. Now we have YouTube and all kinds of social media where you can watch other people play games. You know, like Twitch is also another one that you can watch people play games. And it's very interesting, especially to watch other people's choices. If there's more than one way to tackle a problem, for example. You might have done it one way and somebody did it another way. It's very interesting to see that sort of gameplay. I, to this day, watch people who play Civilization, right? I'm a big Civ player. My wife and I play Civ a lot. And it's really interesting to see what other people do, right? And how other people approach issues and problems and strategies and the random crap that happens in these types of 4X games. I also watch gameplay of people who have completed a game that I could not, right? So for example, certain games that are very, very difficult to beat, let's say it's a Dark Souls game and I only got so far and I just can't seem to get any further. Sometimes it's nice just to, for the story element, just to watch somebody else finish the game and I can go, okay, that's how it ended, nice. You know, I obviously prefer to play it myself if I can, but if you just sometimes can't, that's an option. Or, you know, just enjoying a game that you just, for some reason, don't have time for or can't afford. So I think watching games has a lot of merit, and I really enjoy it personally, and I get just as much of enjoyment out of it as if I were to play it. And I'm wondering, do you guys feel the same way? Do you guys enjoy watching other people play games? And if so, what types of games do you like watching? Is it any game? Is it just a certain series of games? And why do you like it? So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye-bye.